On Power Talk this week, we're having an interesting conversation, incidentally, exactly a month after Ziidi Trader was launched, and it is a platform that enables Safaricom customers to be able to trade at the Nairobi Securities Exchange via M-Pesa. What time it has been, a month later. It's a good time to revisit this and really talk about this in great depth. And for that, here on Power Talk this week, we've got Esther Waititu, who's the Chief Financial Services Officer at Safaricom. Esther, it's good to have you on Power Talk with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's talk about this interesting one. You know, after launching M-Pesa, obviously, close to 2 decades, what inspired this move of, payments into stock trading?
Great. So after 18 years, when we started with Send Money, we were not sure what was going to happen next. And we then moved away from, well, not moved away, but continued. When we were able to enable payments, then we realized that there's a need for liquidity, and that's when we shifted and started to give credit, which is part of our portfolio. But also as part of our financial inclusion journey, we then shifted to savings, because if you're able to make a payment, if you're then able to access credit, then you should be able to save. And so it was natural that beyond savings, we wanted to generate and create wealth for our customers. And the only way you can do that is by owning something. And owning a share is part of that journey that takes you to wealth creation.
And we'll talk about, owning shares, but it's been quite the evolution, like you've talked about, from sending money to making payments. And then it even moved into Ziidi, MMF, before now you came into this. Just take us through a little bit of that journey and what inspired it.
Great. So as M-Pesa continued to expand, and we became a system that allows both traders and consumers to exchange goods in a meaningful way, we realized that what was happening there is that balances were sitting in people's wallets. And so we looked at the data and said, what else can we do for our customers? And we could see that people holding money there for a period of time and then making a payment of whatever choice they needed to make. And so the journey then became, how do we then enable them to earn interest on this money that sits in their wallets? And Ziidi Money Market Fund was then launched in 2024. And that enabled our customers to be able to save money and withdraw at ease. So with the Ziidi Money Market Fund, you can actually place your money today, withdraw tomorrow, and you'll still have been able to earn interest. And what we have seen is that a lot of our customers are looking for options in which they can invest, but to invest easily. They want it simple. They want it convenient. And that is a role that we play by providing a platform that can enable this in a very efficient way. If you can send money, you can save. If you can send money, you can invest.
Right. It'll be interesting to hear from you what the impact has been of Ziidi Trader just a month in. But it would seem, SMEs are the backbone of the economy, have been touted as, building back better after COVID. How important is it, to you at M-Pesa and at Safaricom towards supporting SMEs, and what more is in the works?
SMEs are absolutely essential in everything that we do, and we believe that they're also largely underserved. When you think about especially micro merchants, and for that we even created a very specific solution that we call Pochi. Pochi la Biashara is where then micro entrepreneurs are able to separate their personal expenses from their business expenses, and we've seen that growing. Today we've got over 2 million of them actually working in our ecosystem. And what this has done for them is that it enables them to, first of all, build a credit history where they can then start to borrow, because we've got solutions where micro merchants can actually borrow against the flows that go through their wallet, which is what we call TASI for accessing credit. And then we've moved to enable them to also then, on top of that, be able to save with a money market fund. And now, the money that they have earned, they can actually then start to buy shares, which then gives them ownership in a another, publicly listed company, which then allows them to participate actively in the economy. Aside from just generating income from the business that they trade in, they're then able to earn passive income through this process. So it's really a game changer, especially for the micro entrepreneurs and the SMEs. So this just gives them a simple opportunity for them to invest, and it closes the circle where they're able to manage their working capital, they're able to invest, and now they also have access to insurance products, micro insurance, through one of our products called Tunza Mapato, where they're able to access, income building, protection funds, and also healthcare facilities.
And financial literacy is important as well. I mean, beyond providing services that enable people to make more money, how important is that?
Financial literacy is the backbone of everything that we do, and the only way you can actually make financial literacy a meaningful exercise is if you allow people to experiment. So what Ziidi Trader does, it allows you to test with just one share. So if you're able to purchase one share, and you're able to earn a dividend on that one share, you're able to see that share appreciate, and also at the same time, because it's not always up, but also seeing it move, it starts to give you confidence. So simplicity enables confidence. Confidence then allows people to try. So that trying and experimenting then now teaches the individual how they can then work with money. So this is how we're embedding financial literacy in everything that we do. And within the platform itself, you can also get information around what shares are moving, around what market movements are happening. We have in the space of intelligence, we've got a chatbot who can give you insights. If you want to understand what a share is, if you want to understand what share moved yesterday versus, the previous day, it'll give you those insights. So that's how you learn. You learn by doing, which then helps to sustain a habit around investing.
Yeah, and hopefully they grow from buying one share to
That is it. That is it. So we're working with experimentation here. When you experiment something and you can see what value it's bringing, it allows you to then now do more. So that's really what we're doing. We're simplifying the investment process and giving everyone the opportunity to test and to grow. And with time, what we want to do is to have a lot more Kenyans investing, a lot more Kenyans who are empowered with wealth.
What has been your observation over the last month since Ziidi Trader was launched?
Very interesting. So let's start with the statistics. So we have over 200,000 retail investors who have opted in. And if you compare that to where the Nairobi Securities Exchange was, it took 9 years to get them to 200,000 investors. So what we have been able to cover in 1 month is what has taken 9 years to cover. And it's really powered by, mobile first, ease of being able to transact digitally. So that we have seen, and now we have seen that the trades, our trades using Ziidi Trader account for 60% of the total trades that happen in the market, and 2% of the value, about 2.5% of the total value. And this has been the average for the last month that we have been in the market. So what it has done is actually opened up the market, and people have been able to explore. The timing was also quite good because we had the Kenya Pipeline company IPO happening at the same time. And it was very interesting that the retail investors that came in for the IPO, 49% of them actually came through Ziidi. So what that shows you is that if you make a process simple and accessible, and then you incorporate it into what a consumer does every day, it can actually then really be transformational.
So all of that then happening at a time that M-Pesa is marking 19 years. Let's look back on the last year in particular, because we can't look at all the 19, which is quite a long time. But if you just take a look at the last year for M-Pesa, what have been some of the milestones that have stood out for you?
So the last year has been phenomenal. First of all, it gave us the opportunity to thank every single customer who has gotten M-Pesa to where we are today, an opportunity to give back and engage with them. But the key milestones that we've had in the last year have really been around how we have, democratized savings through Ziidi, the money market fund, which has, interestingly, over that year has 5 million opted-in customers already investing with us, with 1.6 million of them being daily, monthly active. So that's been a great outcome. I think the second thing that we have also seen is that with that, we've seen increased usage on our data platform. So we've seen a lot more customers involved in digital tools, which is also a very big part of what we needed or wanted to do for our customers. And beyond that, then the introduction of microinsurance. So those are the two big things that have happened within this year, three big things, where we've seen more customers saving. So the pools of savings have increased significantly. Number two, we've seen the use of 4G, 5G phones, which is quite important in this journey, because if you don't have access to the internet, then you're digitally dark, means that you don't have access to a lot of these solutions. Then on top of that, being then able to insure their wealth, which one we started with their devices, and then transitioning into, especially like if you look at the community of border borders as an example, they have a very robust health and life cover that works well for them. So those are the three key milestones that I'd like to talk about in this 1 year since turning 18 and transitioning into 19 years.
So what does the future look like?
The future looks a lot like more access, true financial inclusion, where we're enabling Kenyans to create wealth, where we're then enabling them to also protect the wealth that they have created. So this is the full circle of financial inclusion. We gave them access to the tools that enable them to trade every day. We're then now taking it to how they're then able to save and get access to credit at the same time, but now closing the circle by then investing and being able to give back.
Indeed. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing what will happen. It's been just 1 month, but there's many more to come. Thank you very much. Esther Waititu is the Chief Financial Services Officer at Safaricom, talking about Ziidi Trader that just a month ago was launched, enabling users to buy and sell shares directly from their mobile wallets. 1 month on, the impact is growing. That is Power Talk this week.